period number one,
Period number only. Period number only.
the one and only public comment period.
In case they don't make it. John Vaughn, N8634 Stringers Bridge Road. I was a licensed state building inspector, master plumber, design engineer, certified police officer, instructor in the state of Wisconsin. I made a request to the town of Ordinance for pods, semi-trailers on the property, being on the property of the town on 8/9/21 at the town board meeting. I waited a year, I didn't see any action. I drafted petitions, printed petitions, got signatures on the petitions. All the signatures on the petitions are valid. I drafted a possible ordinance for pod semi-trailers from other municipal ordinances within the state of Wisconsin. I turned the draft and the petitions over to the board to be reviewed by the town attorney. I briefly did talk to the town attorney on it, nothing major, anything, just to talk to him. Joe Kukalski, the town chairman, has been taking the brunt for this ordinance, and he has had nothing to do with it. He didn't help me with anything, didn't print anything for me. I did the whole works and turned it in for them to turn over to the town attorney to look at, to bring to the town. I could not find semi-trailers or pods directly named in Walker County regulations for single-family residences. County is allowing them under storage structures. They happen to also allow fences as addition to storage structures. I wish the town residents would go to Google Earth to view the property next door to me. Pods and trailers were placed on the property before permits are obtained. Check Google Earth from 10/15 to 7/23, and then compare with the zoning permits from Walker County View 1 when they were obtained for what's on the property. The satellite from 7/23 shows one more trailer, 2 more pods, and a storage building with no permits. Number 2, on the Town of East Troy, Chapter 15, Building Code, adapted in 2000, states the purpose to protect property values. My property taxes have gone down $2,270.38. My property value has gone down approximately $100,000 since 2015. You go to the appraisal stuff, look at that. This was apparently caused by the property next door. I want to thank all the town residents for picking up the difference with their tax bill on my loss. I have a home with 2 storage structures and 10.5 acres. 2% of my lot area, I can have 8,000 square feet left for storage structures. That means I could have 20 10-by-40-foot pods or trailers, or gutted house trailers used for storage, could be placed on my property as storage structures. I think I'll have to look in the town. Carla said she observed other properties in the town that were like hers or worse. I think the town of East Troy should check these properties out, wherever they are. I think the town should also look into an ordinance whether any structures, trucks, machinery, boats, trailers, autos, equipment not owned by the property owner should be allowed to be stored on a single family C2 properties. The town board should also look into whether tools and commercial equipment such as cranes, front loaders, dump trucks, etc., boomers, excavating equipment, bobcats, should be allowed to be stored on C2 family residential properties. County zoning allows them, if you own other properties and use the same for maintenance on the other properties, commercial properties appear to be okay also to do maintenance on. Thank you.
Public comments?
You need an address?
M903, I believe.
That's correct.
I won't remember that.
Thanks for the reports, they were good this month, thanks. focus tonight is the concept of limited government and the process for creating new ordinances. My biggest concern about this whole discussion about ordinance creation is how easy it is for the board to create new government regulations in our small little town of East Troy, and how nonchalant everyone appears to be about it. What is the process the board goes through before deciding to add a new ordinance? Today we are over the years, we have lost the idea of fostering personal responsibility instead of our society going straight to the passing of laws, charging fees, limiting our individual freedoms. We wonder why there is increased tension and conflict in the country. I wrote an email to you, Joe, and copied the board on December 2nd, soon after the November board meeting, when numerous ordinances showed up on the agenda. My question simply was, what municipalities were referenced by Attorney Mills in the creation of this proposed portable storage container ordinance? Since that time, I did some research on my own and was told by a county employee that they were unaware of any more restrictive container ordinances implemented by town boards in Walworth County. That's what I know. There is already a Walworth County ordinance regulating portable storage containers. Since 1976, Walworth County has successfully treated portable storage containers as accessory structures, very hard to say, issuing permits for their usage under Chapter 74. Under Chapter 7438, a 5-acre lot is allowed 2%, or 4,356 square feet, to be legally permitted as portable storage containers, and 200 square feet is almost 22 times less. Since I heard nothing from the board to my first request, I sent a follow-up email on January 5th, addressed to you with a copy to the entire board, requesting a reply to my question. It is my expectation that Attorney Mills has already spent time and the town's money to research and create the ordinance. All I'm asking for is for someone to share the information with the citizens. Every town ordinance adds one more layer of regulation on top of county, state, and federal laws, so local government should do everything they can to avoid new laws unless absolutely necessary. Every new ordinance increases our local costs by imposing enforcement responsibilities, attorney fees to create them, and additional restrictions on residents. There is also the result of unintended consequences, which could easily continue to add to the town of East Troy costs. As a resident of the town of East Troy and a taxpayer, before incurring all these expenses to create new ordinances or additional rules, I would appreciate the courtesy of the board laying out, A, what steps has the board taken to avoid implementing an ordinance? B, what specifically are the reasons requiring the board to take this to an ordinance level? C, what specifically are you hoping to achieve with the ordinance? And D, does it pass the threshold of necessity? And does it have overwhelming support from the 4,000 plus residents? Thank you.
Bob, you going?
So I'm gonna be addressing 11B on the agenda, the proposed shipping container ordinance. And the situation is very simple here. The county has been doing the zoning regulating in our township since July 14, 1975. The county and the town entered an agreement that said all of the zoning will be taken care of by Walworth County. So that's approximately 50 years that this has been going on. There are 16 municipalities in Walworth County, and 15 out of the 16 are all handled zoning by Walworth County. Town of Bloomfield does their own zoning. So let me get this straight. You can draft an ordinance, send it over to the town attorney, or have Joe have the town attorney write it, and there was a process skipped there. I've been at these meetings, every one for the last 3.5 years, and this board never authorized Attorney Mills to draft that ordinance. So why are we drafting ordinances without getting the board's approval? I did an open records request at the town here, and I spent $69.37 to get the history of shipping containers in our township. We don't have a shipping container problem. What it appears here is one elderly gentleman in the community wants to turn the town of East Troy into a homeowners association. If you wanna live in a homeowners association, move into a townhouse where you got a homeowners association. Don't try to take the freedoms and liberties of the other 4,000 people that live here. That's inappropriate, that's just wrong. I did a letter of inquiry to Chairman Klarkowski and the other board members and Attorney Mills and Darren Schwenke at Walworth County and Michael Cotter at Walworth County. I got it took me 2 hours to put it together. I disseminated it through email, and I got a 17-word response back from Joe, basically stating, it's not happening, I'll get to it when I get to it, and I'm doing my job. That's about basically what he sent back to me. So, I think it's time that this town board starts doing the work of the people. I've been getting jagged around in this town for a long time, for 20 years. The same way the owner, occupant of the Lindy's property has been getting jagged around. He spent over $1 million trying to put something nice there, and certain fractions of this board, not all of this board, but certain fractions of this board have been doing nothing but wasting taxpayers' money fighting people having access to this lake. It's been going on with me for 15 years over there. Let's talk about the 27 tickets that I got issued by this town board. Let's talk about the lawsuit that Craig Knox was in, started in 2021, and I got amended in it this year, and now I'm involved with that. That was a failure of certain fractions of this town board, hiring the former police chief. It goes on and on and on and on. So I'm telling you what I'm doing. I'm going out campaigning, enlightening the community on everything that's going on, because I want the community to know what's going on, because come next April, when they get in the voting booth, I want them to make the right informed decision. This is just ridiculous what goes on in this town, it's a joke.
Thank you. And by the way, the town board did not issue tickets. Never did, never will.
You drive the bus, I'm the old chief. Thank God we got a new chief, good one.
With respect to town board approval, the town board did give approval to have me meet with the police chief, go over the town code, to ramp up or make more enforcement, more enforceable town codes, and to look for anything that was missing in the code. And unlike the county's accessory structure ordinance, the town didn't have anything that addressed dumpsters, pods.
There's no township in the whole county that has it, so why are we inventing it?
Pardon?
There's not one township in this whole county that has a shipping container ordinance or a pod ordinance or anything like that. The county's been doing the ordinance for 50 years. All of a sudden now we're gonna reinvent the wheel after we've been doing it one way for 50
You
years?
don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's municipalities all over the place that have these.
I'm talking about Walworth County.
Okay, and I understand that.
Hold it, are we done?
Yeah, so I'm saying that there was authority given to go through the code. Look
It wasn't
for
edified, it didn't
shortfalls.
specify storage
It
containers.
wasn't specified.
You did a basket
It
deal.
was a general authority
But-
given to go through the code, update things that needed updating, and look for deficiencies.
Shouldn't the public be
It doesn't
informed on
have
what
to
you're doing though?
Specify specific topics.
It's called sneaking around the bushes.
Okay,
No, it's not, John.
Okay, start.
All right, go ahead.
The point here is that everything was done in a quick manner, and what we're simply asking for is that we have a direct procedure for ordinances to be put into law. And you can't tell me that there wasn't a lot of backstepping going on here after we started saying something about it. Otherwise, that ordinance would have gotten approved if we didn't have two supervisors questioning it. It would have gotten voted on that night. So like with a couple of days, that an ordinance is gonna get voted on and put into law, when there's no other counties that do that quickly, and that's all we're asking for, is because certain neighbors have complained with the 22 signatures that some neighbor that doesn't like living next to me puts this in, and so we jump through hoops. I complained about an ordinance being put into place for drones. You should have a drone driven over your house for 3 years, and he's still doing this. And if he doesn't stop, I'm getting a restraining order, because that's what I have to do, okay? I asked for that to even be considered, and it wasn't even considered, okay? But they bring into a fact that living next to it, my house, where he can't see anything but has to drive a drone over it. There's one neighbor, next to me, that can see in the back area there. Okay, so for 3 years this man has been driving a drone over, taking pictures. And then he talks about how his values went down. I don't know if he's looked at the new assessment, but his values are the same as they've been compared to mine. Okay, my house went up to like $560,000. His is where it should be. He's the one that called the assessor and was complaining. The assessor lowered it because it complained. I talked to the assessor. Okay, so he's been ripping off the town with lower taxes because he complained about this, and the assessor just lowered it. So come on out and reassess. Reassess his house and my house right now. It sure went up. Mine went up $100 and some thousand. So that's a bunch of bogus on how his values went down. Okay? I'm getting angry about this. It's been going on for 3 years. And you know why? Throw this container ordinance into the fire again. Stir it up because of 2 complainers. And then make the whole town pay for it with a container ordinance because of 2 neighbors. Don't tell me it's anything different than that. Don't tell me. Because you sent an email out over Christmas asking me to turn in my 20 containers I found. Do your job and look around. I took an overview off of the whatever that is, and I looked around and I found them like this. And I could have kept going, but I'm not going to waste my time on that because it's your job if you want to put an ordinance in. Okay? So, you tell me that we're not getting targeted, but you asked me to find you the other containers. If you do the other containers that are out there, don't go asking me because the only property you know that has containers on is mine. So don't go telling me we're directing it towards our property. So let 2 neighbors keep pulling around by the nose, Joe, instead of having the gonads to tell them, leave it alone. We were approved by the county. We've had the police chiefs over there. I allow them on and I don't legally have to. And all I've been doing is playing this game and I'm tired of it. Okay? So no, I'm not going to turn in other people with containers because I wouldn't want them to go through what I've gone through. Okay? So stop it. Get some BALL balls and stop it. Okay? Don't let them push you around. I'm just tired of it.
May I be recognized again?
Please.
Okay. I do know that last month I did speak in favor of putting a proposal in place regarding new ordinances. It's not on the agenda tonight, but I do believe that is a good idea moving forward. Second, I did research, and a draft on a drone ordinance, so to say it went nowhere is not true.
Well, it's not going as
It's
far
not
as
true,
this
it
is
happened.
going.
I researched it, I
Not
created
going as
drafts.
fast as this. It hasn't moved 3 months of this garbage.
And then the third item is when I was given information about a potential container ordinance, I did also receive a petition that had more than 2 neighbor signatures on it.
With
Those
the storage.
signatures were signed twice by some people, and there were other people that don't even live at those addresses, and those things go back 2 years. Why are we setting
I
up
can't
ordinances
verify
on
the
2-year-old
petition. I'm just saying
petitions?
I received a petition that had more than 2 signatures.
Alright. Enough. First of all, this whole idea about being fast and whatever, that's bogus. Said right from the beginning, this is gonna be a long process. We had our attorney.
Like the ATV ordinance,
Yes.
once.
Yeah, the ATV ordinance, by the way, was driven by petition, you know that too. So anyway, there's nothing fast about this. This is a new ordinance. All the other ones we have are modifications. We do this every year, update our ordinances, and this board authorized our attorney to meet with the police chief and say, what do we have to do here to fix these? And that's what we did. There's 2 of them we did not act on yet because they are more complex. That's noise and containers. So none of this is.
If it wouldn't have been for
Yeah.
Supervisor Wales, you would have voted on this 4 days
That
after
is-
that, hit the
That is
paver.
speculation on your part. This
I was here.
voted
It never
5-0
never
to
should've
table.
got- It never even should have got.
After
up to
he
a
put
vote.
up a motion,
You're not recognized, and
Okay.
you keep speaking out.
I'll shut up, Joe.
Anybody else public comments? Please, Mr. Judge.
I'm speaking in regards to, I think it's agenda item 9C, the speed limit on Bell School Road. I'm handing out something from the state of Wisconsin. The state of Wisconsin determines speed limits on roads. It's on them. We have statutory authority, the board does, to change that speed limit. If you notice in that packet, there are some roads in the township, all town roads basically are 55 miles an hour according to the state of Wisconsin. We, the town, have changed, lowered that speed limit on statewide. The town board of East Troy, Wisconsin has determined the statutory speed limit has hereinafter indicated to be unreasonable, unsafe, or imprudent, and hereby modify such speed limits under authority granted by Wisconsin statute 34911 by reducing, with your approval of the State Highway Commission, when such approval is necessary, the speed limit sets forth in the appropriate statutory sections of the Wisconsin statutes that hereinafter set forth. So from 55, we've lowered all the roads basically down to 45, because town felt it was reasonable to it. What I'm asking for is now on the new section, on the new rustic road, which you can notice is maximum speed 45, to lower that 10 miles an hour to it, just like we have done on every other road in the township, for the same reasons. And also the petition that the residents requested. Thanks.
Other comments? Anyone else?
My name is John Jaska. My current address is 8105 West Lorraine in Milwaukee, but I'm in the process of purchasing land out here. And I'm speaking upon the shipping container ordinance or the proposal of such. I've had actually some conversation with some people before the meeting here. What I think there is some concern is if someone is buying property out here, are containers that are permitted with the current county regulation, are they grandfathered to the new owner or occupant, I should say? Or is it that if they're not grandfathered, will there be a certain amount of time? Who incurs that cost? Would it be that they're required to be taken off the property prior to a sale? Do even the realty companies have to disclose this as part? I mean, it's different because if the town itself is gonna have an ordinance different than your county, it's concerning. I mean, one of my main reasons for buying out here was for the land, was to get out of the city and be able to use it, but the ordinance is just very concerning with having more regulation that wouldn't be the case. So. Thank you.
Could you spell your name for me, please?
Johntadaska.
Tabasco. Tabaska. Thank you.
Sure knows the answer to that one question you had there about.
It's in the draft, it talks about grandfathering.
Yes.
It also says it does not include sheds. I saw that on social media. It says it does not include yard waste. I agree, the definition needs to be improved, and some of the comments I received from the board, there were questions regarding some of the terminology. So I think when we get to that section, the board needs to figure out what exactly it is it's looking to regulate, and then rather than use terms like portable storage container or accessory structure, we refer to dumpsters, pods, U-Haul containers, and spell out what exactly it is that the town is looking to do on what zoned properties or zoning classifications, and whether we're talking about front yard, backyard, you know, things that can, you know, maybe decrease sight lines for traffic. I mean, there's other reasons to have an ordinance like this, but the board needs to have some sort of consensus as to what it's actually trying to regulate, so I can draft something. Or not draft something, but there needs to be more discussion.
Alright, public comments?
Bob Rice. I want to make a couple comments on some of the proposed ordinances. The first one, the container ordinance, it seems, I've been coming to these meetings probably for 5 or 6 years. This seems like a civil spat in between two neighbors. I'm really tired of hearing it, to be honest with you. And the other thing too is, when you put an ordinance in place, what is the enforcement? There's several properties in town that have junk cars, junk trailers, that you couldn't even get in the driveway if you wanted to. How is that being cleaned up? Personally, I would rather see things in a container than strewed throughout someone's front yard. The other thing too is, I travel Stone School Road on a weekly basis, multiple times a week. When I first moved here, it was 45 miles an hour. It has now been reduced to 35 miles an hour. And the cops always sit in Quantico on the other side of the bridge at 30. It seems more like it's done to generate revenue for the townships. I would be in favor of leaving the current speed limits in the town. There was concern over traffic and how ATVs are gonna slow down the traffic pattern. You've just adjusted the speed limits to recommended speeds of the ATV ordinance. The other thing I asked Joe Jones for is a copy of what he said to the board, and I think it summed things up pretty good. I'd like you guys to reconsider. He wrote, as a resident of the town of East Troy and a taxpayer, before incurring all these expenses to create new ordinances or additional rules, I would appreciate the courtesy of the board laying out what steps has the board taken to avoid implementing an ordinance. What specifically are the reasons requiring the board to take this to an ordinance level? What specifically are you hoping to achieve with the ordinance? Does it pass the threshold of necessity, and does it have overwhelming support from the 4,000 residents within the town of East Troy? I think that's good guidance for any ordinance we brought before the board. I don't think it could have been said any better. Thank you.
Public comments, is there anyone else?
Mark Church, W1187 Beach Road. I would like to publicly thank Todd Shield, the DPW crew, Mike Pavlich, our police officer, the East Troy Fire and Rescue for coming out and taking care of the downed trees that we had on Beach Road in this last storm, and clearing the roads as best we can, because they're much better than some of the other nearby municipalities. Thank you. Who else?